Hi there, Natalie with you today with a new process video for Pinkfresh Studio. And today I want to show you a project that uses a lot of the Celebrate collection. This is the collaboration collection with Altenew. And I'm going to use a few of the papers. I'm going to actually use one of the stamps. And I had this idea that was inspired by this paper. I think it's called This Story. And it's the one that has the beautiful big floral pattern with the two strips of color paper and a little bit of mixed media, and the B side has all these warm tones with white leaves. So kind of the idea I got from that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put everything on the side and start working. And my first thing is I'm gonna add yeso to one. I'm using smooth cardstock, so I'm just adding yeso to prep it because I'm gonna add a little bit of mixed media. So I'm just using my silicone brush to spread the yeso, and I'm gonna set it aside to dry. Now while that is drying, I'm gonna start working on what is gonna be the main component of this, which is gonna be some florals. For this I'm using the Celebrate You stamp set, and this is a floral that you can layer to build it. So I'm gonna start by using black ink to create the outline of the flower. Very simple. This flower is actually very simple to layer, and I'm gonna create quite a few of them. Now the way this flower is built is that you have the outline, and then you're gonna have two parts for the inside. One that's gonna give you the entire color, so the entire shape of the flower, and then one that details the petals. Now I'm gonna skip the one that's gonna complete the flower, and I'm just gonna add the details. I want to keep it fairly white. I want to create something really light and airy for this layout. So I'm gonna pull out colors of ink that match the colors in the collection. So I'm using inks from, it's gonna be quite a few actually, from Rise and Shine. I'm using Sunshine for the center. I'm gonna use Solo Provence, Soft Lilac, and Candy Violet. I'm using Ballet Sleeper and Sparkling Rose from the Fairy Dust set. I'm using Coral Reef from the Heartbeat set. I'm gonna use Peach Fuzz and Apricot for the Indian Summer set, and I'm also gonna use the green ones are from the Over the Hills collection, which is Fresh Pear and Olive. So you're gonna see that all I'm doing is just stamping, I'm gonna say, the detailed parts of the flowers, and that's just gonna bring some color to the flowers. And like I said, I want to keep it very airy, so I went for really light colors. Now when it came to Ballet Sleepers, you're gonna see that I used two different colors, just because Ballet Sleeper is really light. So by adding a little bit of the second color, mixing it with the first ink, just brings a little bit more of the pink tone. Once I have that, I stamp the centers using Sunshine, and then to stamp the leaves, I'm actually gonna use Fresh Pear and Olive. And the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna apply a Fresh Pear to the entire leaf, but then I'm gonna come in with Olive and just kind of shade just the center, or wanna say, yeah, the center of the leaf, the one that's gonna be closer to the flower, and that's just gonna create a little bit of shading. You're gonna see it right now how it's darker where it's closer to the flower. That's just gonna create a little bit of depth, give a little bit of dimension to the flower. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna continue stamping the leaves. And the leaves are very simple. They're pretty much white, and you're gonna get the accents by adding the little bit of green. I'm gonna say the detail of the green, but there's two stamps. One that's gonna give you the shading for the group of 3 leaves, and there's another little stamp that's gonna give you the shading for the group of the pair of leaves on the side. So I'm gonna continue with the same idea of adding Fresh Pear to the entire stamp, and then just adding Olive just to the center, or the part that's closest to the flower, and that's just gonna create the dimension and the shading that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna take it off camera, finish, and also use the coordinating die just to cut all of them and have them ready for my project. So you're gonna see took my time, and everything is ready to go when it comes to the embellishments. And like I said, this is going to be the major embellishment for my layout. So I'm just going to set it aside, and now that my project is ready, my background's ready to add mixed media, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And here's where my camera did a 360 of me and shut off for a while without me realizing. Also, what I did outside of the camera is found these pictures. That's my sister and my niece and nephew, and it was so nice to see them after a while. We're in quarantine here in Toronto. We were in quarantine. We are slowly coming out of it, and this was the first time I saw them. We went down for a picnic, social distancing, but it was nice to see my niece and nephew with my sister. They created a closer bond now that they spend so much time together. So my idea for the background of this layout is I'm actually going to use a few ideas that I saw in Mrs. project a couple weeks ago, and all I'm doing is I'm gonna drag my ink pads, the same ones that I used to create the flowers. I'm gonna say around the center line just to the bottom of the page. So I'm gonna see that I'm just dragging the ink, and that's why I added yeso to my background, because that's just gonna make sure that the ink stays fresh on top of it and I'm able to manipulate it. So like I said, my camera shut off. I'm going to show you because I realized it and I came back. So I'm using right now, this is Candy Violet. I'm just going to drag the ink, and that's just going to leave a mark on the paper. But because I have the yeso on top, the ink stays fresh. So I'm able to add water and dilute it and create that kind of soft watercolor. I'm still going to have some of the drag marks, which is what I want anyways, but I want to have the soften of the color. So I use the same colors that I used to stamp the flowers and also the leaves, and create and use the same effect. Drag the ink, add some water, and dilute it. Now what I realized is in the case of the purples or the lilacs, they're not that prominent. So I'm going to bring a bit of liquid watercolor, and this is lavender. I'm just adding a drop and a little bit of water. That's just going to bring more of that purple, and then just because again I have the yeso on the background, the paper's prep, and I'm able to create a watercolor feel on the back on the page. Now in the center there, that's where I use ballet sleeper, and it's really faint. So I'm gonna add a drop of clementine and a drop of bubblegum, and when they mix they create this orangey, but it's too much orange. You're gonna see that I soak up, and I'm gonna bring a little bit more of the ballet sleeper. Still ballet sleeper, my apologies, bubblegum, still a little bit of orange. So I'm gonna soak it up, and you're gonna see slowly how the pink of the bubblegum comes out, and that's okay. It's the same colors that I have on the background that I have on the flowers. Again, because of the yeso, I put the drops of watercolor and added a bit of water, and I just mix them together. I'm gonna do the same with the green, especially in the area because I know that's where my pictures are gonna sit. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of emerald, I think it's called Emerald City, and also a bit of a key lime, and it's gonna create a very vibrant green, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, I want something really light, airy. I want those vibrant colors just because it's gonna be a lot of white on the background, so I want the background to stand out. Now I'm gonna set all of that aside to dry completely, and while that is drying, I'm actually gonna work on something that is, and you're gonna say that there's a line that separates the colors. I'm actually gonna hide that, but I wanted to bring some detail to the page. So I'm gonna use, these are the Lacy edges, but these are the slim ones, and I'm gonna actually cut two papers. I'm gonna cut that one that has the big floral, I think it's called This Story, and the one with the polka dots, I can't remember the name at the moment, but I'm gonna link everything onto the comments so you can see it. But I'm gonna cut two strips of them, and I added the lacy edges. I added that one that had the little, I'm gonna say the little floral tip, and the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna layer them, and that's gonna sit right on the center in the junction of the colorful mixed media. Now I love the mixed media, but I think it needs a little bit more of detail. So I am bringing, this is called, I have it all written down for you so I will forget, the Diamond Tiles rubber stamp, a Klingon stamp. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding a bit of ink. Again, I'm going back with the inks that I use to detail the flowers, and I'm just gonna add, I'm gonna say kind of broken down stamping onto the areas that I added the mixed media. So you're gonna see that I'm going with the greens on the bottom part of the layout, but once I stamp it, I'm actually gonna come in with a bit of water and just kind of soften the details. I do want the stamping to show, but I don't want the lines to be the ones at the end. I want just like a soft impression of the stamp. So the easiest way is, because I have the yeso on the background, I'm able to manipulate the ink, kind of erase some of the lines, give it a faded effect. That's the way I'm going for. And once I have that, I'm going to repeat the same with the top part of the layer, or the background, sorry, which is the one that I have the colorful spotches, you're gonna say, of watercolor. So I'm going with a little bit, I'm using for this candy violet, and again, I'm stamping. I'm being careful just to add the ink to certain areas, and then I'm gonna go on top of it. I don't mind if a little bit of combines. A lot of this is gonna be covered by the flowers. I just want, once you're gonna see in the close-ups later on, that you're gonna see just the faint kind of like I said, it's gonna be a faded effect on the background. So you're gonna see faint lines fading, and that's what I'm going for. Just give it more interest, more dimension to the background. So again, I'm stamping with the ink, and then I'm just gonna kind of spread it or soften the effect of the stamp with the brush with a bit of water. Not much, just a little bit. I'm gonna say a wet brush just to move the ink a bit. Again, this works if you have prepped your page. Your page needs to be prepped with yeso to be able to manipulate the ink. So that's the key when building this type of background, especially if you're gonna drag ink and you want to manipulate it. Make sure your background has prepped, and what I mean by prepped is you added a layer of yeso. Now I'm gonna again set that aside to dry completely, and I'm gonna work on the pictures, and you're gonna see that I'm gonna keep it fairly neutral. So I'm gonna go ahead and back my the picture, the larger picture, with the gray paper from this is all from the Celebrate collection, but I'm gonna add a bit of a color to the background, and then I'm gonna use a little piece of ephemera to back the picture. Now I want to bring a little bit of the bow onto this layout, just to bring dimension. So I pulled the 6x6 paper pad, and I pulled I think it's called Whimsical Bows die set, and I created that one that has the 2 loops. So what I did first to build this bow is I'm actually gonna use, you can use a pencil, and just gonna help you create the curvature of the loop, and for that you just gonna roll the pen or the pencil, whatever way you're using, around the loop, and it's gonna kind of fold the paper, creating that curvature. And then I'm just gonna use some glue to attach it on the center. Now you're gonna see that it could be a little bit not difficult, but it's hard to keep the centers together. So I'm just gonna press it with my finger, but you're gonna see that I'm gonna try to my best to build the whole bow. When I add the glue to the center of the loops, I'm gonna make sure that I put that towards the bottom to attach it to the tail, and then the little piece that wraps around it, I'm actually again make sure that the pieces that meet is at the bottom of the bow, so you won't see it, and to keep it all in place, because you know sometimes because this is paper, it tends to pop. I'm actually gonna put pressure by using a paper clip, and I have those mini looks like clothespins, and that just adds enough pressure to keep everything in place. So I'm gonna put it in place and set it aside to dry, and be safe and secure. While that's happening, I'm just gonna go ahead and start building the layers for my layer. All I'm doing is just layering those lacy edges so that I only have the little lace showing up. And once I'm in place, I'm actually gonna once they're glued together, sorry, not in place, I'm gonna place them right on the center of the layout so that it divides the 2 colors of the colorful and the green background. After that is all about setting up this layout. So first thing I'm going to do is set the picture of my sister right on the left, on the left hand side of the picture, right on the center but towards the left, and then the smaller one kind of a little bit on the slant. And all I'm going to do right now is using the colors on the background, I'm actually going to put the flowers in the horizontal line, making sure that the colors match the colors in the background. So kind of color block. I'm starting with the peach ones. The ballet sleeper ones I'm actually gonna use at the bottom, so you're gonna see that at the top I'm using the coral reef ones, the one that kind of reddish tone to show up, and I'm gonna finish with the purplish tones. And then just to bring because I have the picture kind of not falling down, but a little bit on the slant, I'm actually gonna tack a few of the flowers underneath That's just gonna bring a little bit of dimension, give you that's when the edge is gonna show a bit, and you're gonna see that a lot of my mixed media is hidden, and I'm okay with that. I just love the pops of the colors that you see on the background. It just brings dimension, makes the color of the flower stand out a little bit more, and that's what I said. I wanted to keep it very airy. It's very airy, very natural, very soft, which is what I'm going for. This is like a really summery picture, but they're wearing really different colors. My sister's wearing red, my nephew's wearing blue, my niece was wearing teal. So to just make sure that everything, you know, kind of matches, I just went and put it all in black and white, and I'm gonna make the flowers do the work. So once I pretty much set the flowers in place, I added some foam adhesive behind them. I'm just bringing some embellishments. I brought my bow, some embellishments from this is from my favorite stories, and also from the Let's Stay Home collection. Just bring some of the tones that I have, and again I'm color blocking the embellishments so that they match the colors on the background. Now that thankful die cut is also from the Celebrate Us die set, and it says thankful and thankful, yeah. So I just cut it out of one of the papers from the 6x6 paper pad and added it as a decoration to the picture. I don't want to add much. I think the flowers are doing lots of the work. Not just to add my title, I'm using this beautiful white alpha from My Favorite Story. I love them, and the fact that they have a little bit of gold accent, I'm actually gonna bring a little bit of gold ink at the end just to finish. You're not gonna see it on the camera. All I'm doing right now is adding a few enamel dots, and these are from the Let's Stay Home collection in My Favorite Story, just whatever I have left over, and I just gonna add them to certain areas just to pop the colors. All that's left to do, what I'm gonna do, is add my lines of journal right underneath the title. And like I said, the last step, and you're not gonna see it in the camera, I took it off already, is I added a few drops of gold ink, and I love how this turned out. Super fun to put together, very easy to put together. It looks complicated, but the hint here is you gotta prep your paper, and the ink pads work magic as long as you drag them, and you just need like a soft wet brush to kind of diffuse the color. And I hope you try it. As always, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. Remember to subscribe to the channel. There's lots of content being added. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, guys.